Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? Come on in and sit on down because today we're talking about very, very naughty doctors. We're talking about doctors of death. A nice little subject. You know, I always thought that every doctor was technically a doctor of death because in some way or another, I feel like a doctor has probably inadvertently killed somebody or is known somebody to die. I feel like doctors come in contact with death all the time. But in particular, these are just odd doctors. I don't know how else to say it. I don't think that we're dealing with all doctors of death. Let's just say evil, evil, spooky, dark doctors.
And nurses.
And nurses. Evil medical professionals gone wrong. 4K, Unreal Engine, photorealistic.
Gone sexual.
Gone sexual. That's exactly right. Which doctors are supposed to be people that are supposed to keep you safe. You go to a doctor for good news or for help, right? Doctors are the angels on earth, dare I say. These people, you know, they defied that logic. They're the archangels. They're the demons. They're Dr. House. I want the good doctor, but instead, House is walking in. Or should I say hobbling in, and he calls me dumb and fat, and then hobbles back out of the room. All right, anyways, we're gonna start our list off with Dr. Harold Shipman, the Angel of Death. Dr. Harold Frederick Shipman, infamously known as the Angel of Death, was a British general practitioner and is one of the most prolific serial killers in recorded history. Is that British history?
No.
I.
All of history.
All of history. The book World of History.
This is like the most infamous guy.
This is one of the most infamous guys. Okay. All right, well, I'll take your word for it. Starting in the 1970s and continuing until his arrest in 1998, it is estimated that he killed between 200 and 250 of his patients.
That's 30 years.
That is 30. Well, a little shy of 30 years of murder. But at the same time, if you had a baseball card and you flipped that bad boy over, that's a pretty impressive baseball card, is what that is. He primarily targeted elderly women who lived alone, but also sought out both males and females of varying ages. Just knock off a couple old birds.
He's doing them a favor.
He's like, it's pretty much one of those things where it's like someone is trying to go through a door or whatever. You're basically there. You just like push them through anyways. Just go.
Or they're trying to jump off like one of those bungee cord things. And
yeah, they're nervous. They're like, I'm afraid to go. And he's just like, and like pushes open and they come back up. Today's video is sponsored by Aura. Let me tell you something. There's gonna be nothing more annoying than get a ton of spam calls or text. Oh. Working up at the studio, I'll get a message from a random number, and then it just says, hello? Hello? Who is this? I don't know you. Who are you? You're a stranger. Stop! And there's no chance in hell I'm responding or answering to that, all right? Because annoying as these little cockroaches are, I must resist. They're trying to get you to respond so they can steal your personal information. From there, data brokers online can sell that to scammers, spammers, and anyone who's looking to target you. But now, I don't have to worry because I have Aura! Recently, Ticketmaster was hacked and the data of over 500 million users were put up for sale on the dark web. That's fucked. The data stolen included full names, email addresses, phone numbers, and even credit card numbers. Which is why I love having Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and stops them in their tracks. Aura also protects me from hackers trying to get into my social media and bank accounts. It gives me fast fraud alerts and does the work for me when it comes to removing sensitive information from these websites. Aura also provides an antivirus, a VPN, and a password manager, all from a single app for one low cost. Take back your security when browsing the web and have no fear with Aura. Go to aura.com/papameat or check the description to start your free 2-week trial today. Thank you to Aura for sponsoring this video, and back to the video. His modus
operandi.
What does that even mean? Is that a goddamn Autobot?
You know, detective shows is like, what's his MO?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Should we just, I feel like I should just say his MO.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. His modus operandi, or his MO. I had no idea. What's his MO? What a dumb thing. Was to inject his victims with a lethal dose of diamorphine, heroin, making it appear as if the victim died of natural causes. To conceal his crimes, he often altered medical records to suggest his patients were in poor health. I mean, bitches are old, dude. He also signed death certificates himself, which allowed him to avoid scrutiny from other medical professionals and authorities.
Yeah, He was very adamant. Let me sign that. Let me sign that.
That paperwork right there. Nah, let me grab that. Let me grab that quick. Can I see that? I just want to see it real quick. You shouldn't write on that, and it's done. It's done. He's altering the records. Shipman was fascinated with death from an early age ever since his mother died from lung cancer. During her illness, she was administered morphine, which alleviated her pain. Psychologists and criminologists have struggled to fully understand Shipman's motivations, but it is speculated that this early exposure to the effect of morphine had some influence on his killing spree.
Here's a question. Do you think he killed his mom?
That's a bombshell because my immediate gut reaction was yes. Well, how did he give his mom cancer? No, you know what he did? No, you know what he did to his mom? His mom got cancer. All he did every day, he was like, here, drink this water. He kept putting a water bottle by like an open window and letting light come in. Here, drink this, Mom. She's like, tastes like microplastics. He's like... Before the murders, Shipman was caught forging an opioid prescription for his own use. King. He was fined 600 euros, then was able to continue his practice after attending a rehab center. He had an extremely controlling personality and would constantly override the wishes of his patients and their families, insisting that his methods and decisions were final. I love that. No, I don't think we need that. He's like, you do. You do. It's just kind of like a swollen ankle. I don't think we need. No, you're going to take the meth. Oh, no, you're going to take the heroin. I mean, whatever it's called. Morphine. Who am I to judge? He also attended the funerals of his victims, which allowed him to show that he was a caring doctor and to deflect suspicion from himself. Despite his facade of a caring doctor, Shipman was known among colleagues for his arrogance and belittling behavior. One colleague of his stated,
he was often unnecessarily rude and made some of them feel stupid.
To be fair, that quote was dumb.
He made some of us feel like a real bunch of waterheads. Right, guys?
And they're all just like...
Not me, though.
Or they're all British, so they're just like, hey, he thought he did, eh? Nah, we don't need to put that in. Shipman was eventually caught after the questionable death of Kathleen Grundy, a wealthy 81-year-old widow. Man, that's my dream wife.
81-year-old widow?
Oh, dude. Some 81-year-old, I mean, like, billionaire.
How'd you come in here? Give me a kiss.
You know what I mean? And I'm like... Grundy's daughter grew suspicious when she found out that her mother excluded her and her children from the will and left 400,000 didgeridoos to Shipman. I'm just gonna keep saying didgeridoos. An autopsy was performed and revealed the lethal levels of diamorphine in her system. This led authorities to exhume several other bodies, uncovering more evidence of lethal injections. Shipman was convicted on January 31st, 2000. It was found guilty on all 15 counts of murder and 1 count of forgery. The worst crime of them all. I like how there's like one guy. Be sure to get the forgery in there.
Just in case.
Just in case the 15 life sentences are enough, be sure to put that forgery on top. It was noted that during his trial, he showed no remorse for his actions. His demeanor was often described as cold and detached. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with the recommendation that he should never be released. Well, at this time, how old is he? He's gonna be old as f, right?
And I recommend you never let him out.
He's like, I'm 78. I don't care. I'll sleep on a cot for 3 years and die in my sleep. That doesn't feel like justice is served, does it? No. He's like, all right, you're gonna have to basically be at summer camp forever. Free meals every day. He's like, that's great. I have dementia. Oh, wait. He was found to have rode the sewer in his cell at Wakefield Prison on January 13th, 2004, the day before his 58th birthday.
Oh, he's only 58.
That's still a long time. 58, almost 60 years old, and you've had 30 years of killing. I mean, that has to equate to like at least a 90-year-old guy. You know what I mean? Like that much. Like, come on. How many collective years did he steal from people? Add it on top. Even if it's a fucking 83-year-old woman, it's like, you got a year left, maybe? Add it on top. See, now you're 59. I don't know. This is seen as his final act of control, denying the families of the victims the chance to see him serve his full sentence. This case remains one of the most shocking examples of medical malpractice, leading to significant changes to how doctors are monitored and how death certificates are issued. That's actually kind of crazy too that, I mean, this happened in the year 2000, or the guy was imprisoned in the year 2000. I still think about anything like that in my lifetime as like being relatively soon. Well, I mean, it's like only 20 years ago.
That was like when 9/11 happened.
Yeah. True. Way to bring the video down, dude. Also, I'm talking about like a rich person and you write the people out and you only give yourself $400,000. What a dunce, dude. I do wonder what kind of control that is, though. A lot of these serial killers throughout history, right? Like binding, like BTK, bind, torture, kill. They have like some kind of like super control over it. But just giving someone a lethal injection just feels so lackluster.
I think it's just like that fascination of like, I control your life.
Okay, well, I guess, yeah. I'm the person who gets to decide when your final date is.
They're basically death.
Yeah, you are the angel of death. You're just like, today's the day. Yeah, okay, I can see that.
I also think relating back to his mom, there's like a sympathy aspect where he's like, I see these people in pain and I want to end their suffering.
So he's a good guy.
Yeah, that's what I...
So he's a good guy. Yeah, that's cool. Next up, we have Nurse Charles Colon. Charles Edmund Colon is one of the most infamous serial killers in American history.
I specifically put American history because it's not the world.
Right. As a nurse, a male nurse, he used his position to murder at least 40 patients over the course of his 16-year killing spree. His method of killing was both insidious and difficult to detect. He would administer lethal doses of
digoxin,
insulin, and epinephrine to his victims. These drugs, especially in the critical care units where he worked, could easily be attributed to natural causes of underlying health conditions. Charles Colon was born in 1960 and is the youngest of 8 children. God, he's like barely older than my mom. She is so old, dude. God, you ever like think about your parents' age? You're just like, God damn, dude. Mummies walking around. Good Lord. When he was 7 months old, his father died, leaving his mother to raise him and his siblings alone. Colon described his childhood as unhappy, marked by bullying from classmates and feelings of isolation. When he was 9 years old, Colon made his first suicide attempt by drinking chemicals from his chemistry set. He attempted to ride the sewers again at the age of 17 when his mother died in a car accident. Because of his mental struggles, he dropped out of high school and joined the Navy. He was then subsequently bullied by his shipmates. God damn, dude, leave this motherfucker alone. Holy shit. Which led to him making several more attempts to end his own life again. And in one instance, he tried to end his life by locking himself in a compartment and drinking a mixture of chemicals. What was up with him being like, all right, chemical time number 4. Try something different. You're on Navy? I don't know, man. I don't want to tell you how to do the deed. I don't want to tell you how to ride the sewer. But I don't know, dude. Mixing Febreze and bleach isn't doing it for you. Like, come on. After a series of psychological evaluations, Colon was medically discharged from the Navy in 1984. Wonder how long he was in there. Like, all right, well, he keeps drinking bleach and Febreze. Maybe you should just go home? I don't know. Yeah, everyone's like, yeah, go home, Febreze boy. Dude, you smell good. Yo, why your breath smells so good, dude?
He's like, stop, guys, stop.
Spray his mouth. After leaving the Navy, Colon pursued a career in nursing and graduated in 1987. It's a strange trajectory. How do you find the nursing thing? Do you think he was positively affected by a nurse who was helping him?
I was going to
Like,
say...
oh, here, help, you know.
It's almost like psychologists are like, I'm broken, so I need to become a psychologist to fix other people.
Well, if that's the case, you'd almost assume he'd like become a chemist.
Yeah.
Why, if you keep drinking that many chemicals, why would you not be like, I'm going to make the perfect death potion for myself? Would that not be the best thing? I don't know. His first killing was at St. Barnabas Medical Center in Livingston, New Jersey on June 11th, 1988. Despite the suspicious nature of the death, Colon faced no immediate consequences. And over the next 16 years, he moved from hospital to hospital, leaving a trail of unexplained deaths in his wake. Throughout his career, Colon's mental health continued to deteriorate. He attempted to ride the sewers multiple times, using various methods such as overdosing on pills, lighting charcoal grills in enclosed spaces to succumb to carbon monoxide poisoning, and even injecting himself with concoction of medications. It wasn't until 2003 when a series of suspicious deaths at Somerset Medical Center raised some alarms. The hospital's advanced computerized drug dispensing system, Pyxis, helped identify Colon's pattern of accessing drugs not prescribed to his patients. The pivotal moment came from when Colon attempted to murder a patient named Philip Greger. The hospital records show that Colon had ordered medications for patients who were not under his care. An internal investigation, coupled with pressure from the New Jersey Poison Control Center, led to Colon's arrest on December 12th, 2003, 2 years after the towers fell. I feel like all these, we're going to just keep coming back to that. Following his arrest, Colon cooperated with authorities, confessing to killing at least 40 patients over his career. However, investigators believe the actual number of victims could be much higher, potentially in the hundreds. Colon was charged on multiple counts of murder and attempted murder. And in 2006, Charles Colon was sentenced to 11 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. He is currently serving his sentence at New Jersey State Prison in Trenton. That's insane that he's still alive. And every time I hear these, you're like, oh, the guy's still kicking. How is that justice? Killed the fucking guy. Dude, that would, him getting a lethal injection, whatever, that'd be the perfect ending to
I was
it.
gonna say that'd be too much, because that's what he wants. He wants to kill himself so bad, so it's almost like torture for him to live.
Yeah. That's probably true. That, or I just feel like people need like some kind of crazy punishment, like you have to just like stand in like a 4x4 box for the rest of your life. I have mental health problems. Fuck you. Slide the thing.
What about the Japanese would hold their prisoners upside down and like put a little cut in their neck?
And they just bleed out slowly. Telling you. See, that's just a little like, that's a torturous way. And I know it probably sounds a little barbaric, but that's just, to me, justice is like eye for an eye, right?
How about undoing what you did? So he'd have to give birth to...
He doesn't give birth. He's saying that. All right, you've killed 40 people. Now you have to foster 40 children. Court adjourned. Everyone's like, put forgery at the top of that, please. Forgery. Next up, we have Nurse Niels Hogel. I did not say that right. I don't know how to. Is it Hogel, you think?
I think so. Hogel.
Hogel. Niels Hogel.
Hogel.
Ugel. Niels Ugel was born on December 30th, 1976 in Wilhelmshaven, Germany. Little is publicly known about his early life, but it has been described as relatively unremarkable. Ugel began his nursing career in the late 90s, and Ugel's method of killing was both straightforward and terrifyingly effective. He administered overdoses of heart medications such as linocaine and calcium chloride to his patients. I just don't even try because I know I'm going to say it wrong. So if I do at least do it in a funny way, then people are like, oh. These drugs, when given in excessive amounts, could induce life-threatening cardiac arrhythmia. Heart attacks. It's just heart attacks. Ugel would then attempt to resuscitate the very patients he had brought to the brink of death, all in an attempt to demonstrate his medical prowess and his heroic deed. Some colleagues reportedly referred to Ugel as Resuscitation Rambo due to the frequency and enthusiasm which he engaged in emergency resuscitations. Which, first off, red flag number one. And the guy's like, oh my god, yes, my turn. When instead of like taking it seriously, what if I also kind of, how creepy is that? Is that goes Resuscitation Rambo, eh? Hey, Ugel, good job on reviving that guy. And he's just like,
Must have failed a lot though too.
yeah, all I tried.
Nothing I could do.
Well, you know, at least I gave it my all, right, guys? And they're like, true, Ugel. True. Ugel's murder I'm gonna stick with Ugel, I don't give a Ugel's murder spanned from 2000 to 2005, during which he is believed to have killed at least 85 patients, though the actual number, as always, may be higher. Which also, you know what I would say to that is like, why would they not admit to just be like, yeah, I killed like a lot?
Because maybe they forget. I don't remember.
Did Ugel, kill that guy? I'm going to say it's a wash, I don't know. His actions went undetected for years, and his victims were often elderly or critically ill patients who were less likely to survive a medical emergency. This made it easier for Ugel to mask his murders as natural deaths or medical complications. He would typically work the night shift, a time when fewer staff were present, allowing him to operate with little interference. Ugel's downfall began at Del Manchort Clinic, where colleagues in hospital administration started noticing an unusually high number of resuscitation attempts and deaths during his shift. That's kind of funny. I like how they're just like, all right, so during the daytime we had 2 today. During the graveyard shift we had 463. That has to be a typo, right? Ugel, is that a typo? I don't know. I guess I'm just lucky. It's an 87% fatality rate. Well, you know. You got to know when to hold them, and you got to know when to fold them. Am I right, guys? Despite these red flags, it took several years before concrete action was taken, and in June of 2005, a colleague caught Ugel in the act of injecting a patient with potentially lethal dose of Amaline? Ajmaline?
Ajmaline? I don't know.
There's no way it's Ajmaline. Ajmaline? I am a salty prince? The patient survived and Ugel was arrested. Initially, he was charged with attempted murder, but further investigation revealed the true extent of his crimes. Initially, he was tried and convicted for 2 murders and 2 attempted murders, but Ugel eventually confessed to 55 murders and convicted for 85.
They just tagged on more for him. No.
I'm pretty sure that's Oogle. He's like, no, 9, that's not me. After a deep psychological evaluation from doctors, he exhibited traits of narcissism and a craving for attention and recognition. Me. Me. Would you say I'm narcissistic, Nick? Give me some narcissistic breakdowns.
Self-centered, arrogant thinking and behavior, lack of empathy, consideration for other people, and an excessive need for admiration.
I mean.
All right. You do fit 90% of those.
Yeah. I would say almost 100. What's the one, 90%? Which one do you think is true?
Wait, which one is true? Just off your own words, the need for admiration, an excessive need for admiration.
Fuck you, you're fired. His motives appear to be a combination of a desire to impress colleagues with his resuscitation skills and a pathological need for control over life and death. During trials and testimonials, he stated to saying some of these things. I wanted to create an emergency situation and then bring the patient back to life. I felt euphoric when I managed to resuscitate someone. It was a continuous craving for recognition. You know, that's actually pretty interesting for a serial killer. Because once again, all the serial killers who get the spotlights, you know, are people who are like, I'm gay and I couldn't be gay, so I had to have my like Jeffrey Dahmer. I was gay, so I wanted them to never leave me. Or like I had to control them and like, you know, torture them for my own sadistic game. But just being a doctor and just the idea of like, I get to choose when your life ends, like now, this patient, I get to control when this patient goes. In like a caring way, in a fucked up caring way, it makes so much more sense. Like the more we go down these, the more I'm like, oh, obviously this is like a serial killer's like paradise.
Also, it's noted that he had an unremarkable life, so maybe he was just bored.
Unremarkable life. Well, here's the thing. An unremarkable life. He continuously wanted praise from people. So he was probably a guy who probably didn't have a lot of talents and stuff, but he didn't have a lot of friends. He had a very middle of the road. So then he probably like resuscitated somebody one time and he got that attention he wanted. And he's like, oh shit, I'm gonna chase that high forever. It's like sadistically sad and like crazy that like people can be put in that mental space where they're like, I need to literally have someone go into cardiac arrest so someone will give me attention. Just weird what the human brain like thinks up.
Oh, I bet too, even the patients. Thank you, Dr. Ugur.
Oh yeah, you saved me. I'm doctor. Thank you for saving my life. And he's like, live Dr. Oogle reaction. What, me? Dr. Oogle you refer to? Okay.
I bet that was the first time it happened. He like brought someone back to life. It's like, oh, Ugur.
Oh yeah, the first patient he actually saved, that was the fucking tilting point. Because then next time, I bet you what happened is, he's like, the guy saying, thank you, Dr. Oogle. And then the family's just like, oh, Dr. Oogle, thank you. Oh. And he's like, oh, wow, you like this euphoric feeling, right? So then the next day he comes in and the guy's like, my back hurts. He's like, okay, but I can write you this prescription. And he didn't have any reaction to it. And he's like, don't you have something to say to Dr. Oogle? And they're like, oh, no, I mean, what should I say? And he's like, nothing. That's where he's like, I hope someone is like almost going to die today so I can get that reaction. You know what I mean?
You probably had the paddles ready every day.
Yeah, every day. Do you have chest pain? They're like, 9. All right, next up we have Dr. Christopher Dunch, aka Dr. Death. These simple titles like that, so sick.
I was gonna say, everyone like on this list was referred to as Dr. Death.
Yeah, I mean, it's the easiest tagline, Dr. Death or whatever. You know, the angel of death, like the, you know, Dr. Death, all these things. So sick. It has that simple approach that like 1970s film have, or even like in House of a Thousand Corpses, it's like Dr. Satan. It's so simple and stupid, but goddamn does it work. I love it. Dr. Christopher Dunch, known as Dr. Death, is a former neurosurgeon who became infamous for his gross incompetence and catastrophic outcomes of his surgeries. Born in 1971, Dunch had a promising start, earning his MD and PhD from the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. Despite early warnings about his lack of skill during residency, he began practicing in Dallas, Texas in 2011. Yeah, I got it from the Tennessee Medical Center. Which, no offense to Tennessee, imagine he's just like DeVry University. DeVry. Phoenix Online, National American University.
Full Sail.
Full Sail, yeah. Fullsail.edu. Thank you, sir. However, his tenure at these institutions were short-lived due to his incompetence and catastrophic outcomes of his surgeries. We've said catastrophic twice. So that's how you know it's about ready to get real bad. Buckle up. Patients under his care suffered severe complications, ranging from nerve damage to paralysis and even death. Some of the notable cases from his malpractices were these patients. Jerry Summers. Dunch operated on Summers, a close friend, leaving him a quadriplegic. Summers' surgery was riddled with errors, including the improper placement of spinal hardware and excessive blood loss.
This was his homie.
Well, that's exactly. His buddy's just like, see you on the other side, buddy. And you Well, Jerry, it didn't really go as planned. He's in his wheelchair, just like. That's insane. I like how excessive blood loss too. Oh shit! I should not have cut that. God damn it! Is this even a serial killer? Or is this just a bad doctor? It's just a bad doctor. To get the title Dr. Death and it's just from your own incompetency is so funny. Oh my God. Or Kelly Martin, who was a 55-year-old school teacher. In March of 2012, Martin underwent a routine spinal fusion surgery performed by Dunch at Baylor Regional Medical Center. How does he keep getting doctor positions in places? Good God. The surgery turned disastrous as Dunch severed an artery near Martin's spine, causing excessive blood loss. Despite clear signs of complications, Dunch failed to manage the situation properly, and Martin died from this massive blood loss caused by the botched surgery. That's insane. That's fucking crazy. You know what also makes this actually the most horrifying case so far that we've covered? Is that he's not even like trying to be evil. There's just incompetent doctors out there. That's the scariest thing. Now, next time I have to have a surgery, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna think that it's a fucking guy who graduated from Tennessee Medical School or fucking Full Sail. Or we have Mary Efford, who was a 74-year-old woman who suffered from back pain. In 2012, Efford underwent spinal fusion surgery by Dunch at Dallas Medical Center. Dunch placed several screws and hardware in muscle tissue instead of bone, severed nerve roots, and left surgical implements in her spine. Efford was left with severe pain, limited mobility, and required a wheelchair. Another surgeon described the operation as the worst he'd ever seen and likened it to assault.
He just screwed into the muscle.
He has like a DeWalt drill. He's like, I don't know. I mean, she's 74. She's not walking anyways, right? I like how another surgeon, another operation guy was just like looking at it. He's like, this is the exact same as if he would have just beaten her with an aluminum bat. Next, we have Floella Brown, who was a 64-year-old woman. She underwent cervical spine surgery by Dunch in 2012 at Dallas Medical Center. During the surgery, Dunch severed Brown's vertebral artery, causing a massive stroke. I feel so bad. I'm like, it's just, oh, how are you just like, oh, God damn it. Okay, hold on. Yep, she's spazzing. We have a spazzer, guys. I like to think he's that, like, chill about it, too. Oh, okay, we got a bleeder.
We got another one.
The nurses are just standing there, like, you know, their mask on. They're just like, hold on. Yep, she's spazzing. We have a spazzer, guys. Brown was declared brain dead and died shortly after the surgery. Do you think he was the one who declared her brain dead too?
No, I think he was trying to. No, she's fine.
No, she's fine. She's on the table. Yeah, just. That's horrible. That's horrible. This honestly feels the most, like, this is the most evil. Just incompetency, human incompetency, and just especially Dallas being like, he checks out in our books. Numerous other patients suffered under Dunch's care, with cases involving misplaced screws, damaged nerves, and unnecessary procedures. Some patients were left with chronic pain, paralysis, or severe disabilities. And in response to the growing number of injured and deceased patients, Dunch was allowed to resign from several hospitals without having to have his medical license revoked, thus allowing this to continue his practice. It wasn't until 2013 that Dunch's medical license was finally suspended by the Texas Medical Board, which I like to think is just a bunch of guys, one guy in a doctor's outfit and then two other guys with like bolo ties and giant cowboy hats. Now, Dunch, we hate to do it, but we gotta pull your license, bud. Why? They just show like a spine with like 70 screws, like everywhere besides the spinal column. In 2015, he was arrested and charged with multiple counts of aggravated assault and injury to elderly person because of his surgeries. In 2017, he was found guilty of maiming Mary Efford and was sentenced to life in prison. The trial revealed shocking details of his incompetence and disregard for patient safety, solidifying his infamy. Dunge's motivations remain a subject of debate. Some experts suggest that he suffered from a combination of narcissistic personality disorder and delusions of grandeur, believing himself to be infallible despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Despite every evidence stating, "Sir, you are horrible at your job."
Man, you stupid.
His lack of remorse and continued insistence of his competence suggest a deep psychological disturbance. Which, that raises something, because to me, I was picturing a guy who, you know, showing up and he's just like, it's easy, this is easy, and he does a shit job. But this almost makes it seem like on purpose he was maybe doing it. You don't think so? To the extent of him like haphazardly doing something and being like, done, it's fine. I don't know, there's like certain levels to it. In my mind, like, I think that he was just like terrible at his job.
Yeah, I think he was like, I have a PhD, I'm so smart, don't question me.
Buddy, who are you to talk to me like that when I got a full ride at DeVry University? Yeah, I took the whole course from my Toshiba laptop. I think I know my way around a spinal cord. A Ryobi drill. Next up, we have Dr. Linda Hazard. Great name. I like that name. Linda Hazard? That's like an old honky-tonk woman, dude. Like if I was like in 1968, if I was like an oil rig guy in Dallas or Houston, go to a bar. Miss, can I buy you a drink? What's your name, darling? Linda Hazard? I'm like, we're in for a bumpy night, dude. Born in 1867 in Carver County, Minnesota. She did not attend traditional medical school, but instead studied under a practice that awarded her the title of fasting specialist. Don't know what that means. Despite lacking formal medical education, Hazard obtained a license to practice medicine in the state of Washington due to a loophole that allowed practitioners of alternative medicine to be licensed. Hazard was a proponent of fasting therapy, a method she claimed can cure a wide range of ailments by cleansing the body of toxins. So basically a purge, like a purge doctor. Don't eat for a long time and shit your brains out. You'll feel fine, you'll feel so good. Her approach involves severe dietary restrictions, often limiting patients to a diet of small amounts of vegetable broth and juice, sometimes for extended periods. And in 1908, Hazard published a book titled Fasting for Cure of Disease, as well as establishing the Hazard Institute of Natural Therapeutics with her husband. The facility was marketed as a sanitarium where patients could undergo her fasting regimen. The duration of the fasting period varied depending on the patient's condition and Hazard's judgment, often lasting several weeks and even months. Holy shit. Sorry, Janet, we're gonna have to push the carrot juice one more month. It's just like a skeleton. Whatever you say, Dr. Hazard. Patients were required to consume minimal calories, leading to severe weight loss and malnutrition. Hazard promised that her fasting therapy could cure a wide range of diseases, including, but not limited to, digestive disorders, tuberculosis, cancer, heart disease, and even mental illness. In addition to fasting, treatments included daily enemas and massages, which Hazard claimed were necessary to aid in detoxification process.
Do you think she did the enemas herself?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead? We're going to put this up your butt and we're going to rub you out. The person's like, are we gay? Due to the severe caloric restriction, patients experience extreme weakness, fatigue, and significant weight loss, and many were bedridden and unable to care for themselves. Hazard's treatments resulted in numerous deaths, and she was suspected of causing the deaths of at least 15 patients. Many of her patients were wealthy individuals who came seeking cures for various ailments, but ended up losing their lives. Steve Jobs. Hazard was known to exploit her patients financially. Well, that's a shocker. She often had them sign over their assets and estates to her control, using their weakened states to manipulate them. My God. So you gonna sign over your page today? What? No. Okay, 4 more weeks of carrot juice for you, and we'll see. 4 weeks later, you ready to sign? What? In some cases, she forged documents to gain access to her patients' wealth. That's crazy. The 1800s were, 1800s, early 1900s were so fucking stupid. Those times were so dumb. Yeah, I mean, she just signed over everything. Really? Well, where is she? I don't even know. I don't even know where she's at. I think she's sleeping. Well, okay, it is 1902. That's fine with me. Big stamp. Here's all the gold. Perhaps the most famous case involved the Williamson sisters, British women who came to Hazard Institute seeking treatment. Both sisters underwent fasting regimen, resulting in significant weight loss and severe malnutrition. Claire Williamson died in 1912 from severe malnutrition. She weighed only 50 pounds at the time of her death. My God, how old do you think she was?
They must have been like 60, 70.
They were really that old, do you think? That's insane. I mean, like, the bones probably, they probably only weighed the bones then.
Oh wait, maybe they look a little bit younger.
Because even if it's a child, that's crazy.
Looks like maybe 30, 40.
Wow, even 30 or 40 and only weighing 50 pounds, that is insane. Dorothea, who barely survived, later testified against Hazard, revealing the horrifying conditions at the institute and the extent of their suffering. And in 1912, Hazard was charged with manslaughter for the death of Claire Williamson. Witnesses testified about the severe malnutrition, lack of medical care, and financial exploitation they endured. Hazard was found guilty of manslaughter and was sentenced to a minimum of 2 years and a maximum of 20 years in prison. Once again, welcome to the early 1900s. You're either going to serve 2 years or 20 years. It's up to a coin toss. We're going to be giving that to the local clown. Go ahead, local clown. On a unicycle, juggling some like pies or whatever, and he's like, 2! Oh, well, justice fails again. And she served only 2 years before being released on parole in 1915. After her release from prison, Hazard moved to New Zealand, where she continued to promote her fasting treatments. She eventually returned to Washington and reopened her sanitarium. However, her reputation was significantly tarnished, and she faced ongoing scrutiny and criticism. Hazard continued practicing her fasting regimen until her death in 1938. Ironically, she reportedly died while attempting to undergo a fasting cure herself. I love that. It'd be funny too, as if, well, actually, that's kind of a blessing then, because if she was in prison, she probably would have ate normal and like lived a longer life. So I'm glad that got tarnished like that. Good for her. And lastly, we have Dr. Carl Tanzler. Carl Tanzler led a life filled with peculiar beliefs and action. From an early childhood and persisting as an adult, he claimed to have visions of a beautiful dark-haired woman who was destined to be his true love. Carl, me and you, brother. You know what I think of? I think of just like putting on October Rust by Typo Negative. And just hearing the beginning piano licks to love you to death, whatever. And just being like, there's a dark-haired woman out there for me, Carl, don't you worry. He often referred to himself as Count Karl von Kosel, despite there being no evidence that he held really any notable title. I gotta f with that. He's like, I'm the Count. This is turning into a goth thing, I'm telling you. In 1926, he immigrated to the United States, leaving behind his wife and 2 daughters in Germany. In 1930, Tanzler met Maria Elena Maragano Helen de Hoyos. Too long of a name. First off, shorten that name up real quick. Just squeeze it together. How about just Maria de Hoyos, whatever. A young Cuban-American woman who came to the hospital seeking treatment for tuberculosis, a disease that was often fatal at the time. Tanzler became infatuated with Hoyos, convinced that she was the woman from his visions. He lavished her with gifts and professed his love. Despite her lack of reciprocation and her being already married through an estranged husband, we won't go into the whole rigmarole of it, but she was married. And despite Tanzler's efforts, which included using experimental treatments and medicines, Elena Hoyos succumbed to tuberculosis on October 25th, 1931. This feels like a goth love story. Almost Halloween. Come on. Tanzler, with the permission of Hoyos' family, paid for constructed an elaborate above-ground mausoleum in Key West Cemetery to house her body. Uh-oh. Tanzler visited the mausoleum almost nightly, often serenading her with her favorite Spanish song, La Boda Negra. And in April 1933, Tanzler secretly exhumed Hoyos' body and brought it to his home. Uh-oh. Over the next several years, he attempted to preserve and restore her remains using various methods. He used wires and coat hangers to reinforce her skeletal structure. He replaced her eyes with glassed ones. He used silk cloth soaked in wax and plaster of Paris to repair her decomposed skin. And Tanzler dressed the body in fine clothes and applied perfumes, disinfectants, and preserving agents to mask the odor of decomposition. He also fashioned a wig from Hoyos' hair. Oddly romantic. Also, I just want to say I have a song called Graveyard Lover out right now on Spotify, and it's literally about a guy digging up his dead wife to have sex with her because he misses her so much. That's how serendipitous is that, all right? Which, you know, this wasn't even his wife. This was just a psychopath, but still, I digress. Tanzler lived with Hoyos' corpse for 7 years. Whoa! sleeping beside it in his bed. He continued to care for and maintain the body, convinced that his love would eventually bring her back to life. In 1940, Hoyos' sister, suspicious after hearing rumors, discovered Tanzler's morbid secret. Authorities were alerted, and Tanzler was arrested. I'll be honest, if it was my sister and I found out about that, I would be pissed.
Do you think she walked in on them?
Yeah, he's naked. He's like, Maribel, close the door. Don't tell anybody. The case generated significant public interest, with many fascinated by the macabre details. Despite the bizarre nature of his actions, Tanzler received some public sympathy, as many saw his actions as those of a heartbroken, albeit delusional lover.
See, that's what I'm saying, dude.
That's kind of what I'm at. I'm like, what? Dude, he loved her. Come on. They're just like, that's my sister. That's my sister. She did not want to be with him. People are like, get off of it. We're all hopeless romantics. Tanzler was charged with wantonly and maliciously destroying a grave and removing a body without authorization. The statute of limitations had expired.
Ooh, bummer.
Well, that's a bummer. He was not prosecuted for his actions and was released. After his release, Tanzler moved to Pasco County, Florida, where he lived a relatively quiet life. He continued to express his love for Elena Hoyos, even creating a life-size effigy of her. Before they took her body away from him, he created a death mask of her face, which was the central point of the effigy. Carl Tanzler died on July 3rd, 1952. The reports suggest he died next to the effigy of Elena, maintaining his obsession until the very, very end. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of a fucking awesome one to end on. I don't know why. I know it's sick, it's it's right? But in a weird way, it's darkly and grimsly romantic. It's kind of a sweet story. Which, once again, if you kind of look at it though in a realistic lens, it's just kind of fucked up and the guy's a psychopath. But in a weird way, I don't know, kind of sweet. Am I right?
I agree.
I gotta say, out of all these today, the Dr. Death, the guy that was just completely incompetent, that was the most horrifying one out of all of them. Not the bitch making people drink carrot juice or any of the other lethal injection. I'm talking about the guy who's just like, oopsie, oh, I cut another artery, God. Or yeah, taking Ryobi drills and just drilling bitches' muscle tissues. Oh shit, I forgot to turn on the anesthesia. Oh. I feel like he'd be the kind of guy too. He's listening to like Motley Crue in the operating room. The person's like fully awake. Take a ride on the wild side. It'd be a fucking nightmare. All I know is that this conversation has left me not. I mean, I would just rather just die of a heart attack. I don't want to go to the doctor anymore. No more doctors for me, dude. Let me die suspiciously. That makes it sound like someone's gonna murder me or something. All I know is, I don't know. If you're a doctor, please don't kill me with lethal injections. Or I hope that if you're watching this, I hope that a lot of these people who have doctor's appointments coming up, you'll be fine. Take care, everyone. Good luck at your doctor's visits.
I wish I could get out of here right now, this minute. I hate it here so bad. I can't take it, Charlie. It's really bad here. Don't ever put your love